some toys in here.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? It's the Man-Child. Alright, so today for review, going to go over the new Master Universe Origins Cartoon Collection Skeletor figure. So yeah, if you're not familiar, the Origins line is now putting out these cartoon collection figures. So I'm going to call it a subline of the Origins. Yeah, and they're just inspired from the Filmation Cartoon. I didn't think I was going to pick up this line originally, so I already got He-Man, or I reviewed He-Man, Beast-Man, which I'll bring in later. I also got Man-at-Arms and Card, and now Skeletor. I think they look pretty cool. You know, I grew up with the brand too, and both the vintage-inspired figures, which the Origins they're trying to finish up through Mattel Creations, and they put out quite a bit of the line, but now they're trickling into things like Filmation, which... What's neat with these is they kind of remind me of what we always kind of wish some of the figures were back in the vintage collection. We watched that Filmation cartoon, and of course the figures didn't look like the vintage, and the vintage didn't look like the Filmation kind of thing. Super 7 did put out some Filmation figures, Club Grayskull, which are really cool. But I think for an Origins subline, they came out really good. You know, the colors aren't exact. I heard that complaint with He-Man; he should have been darker. Beast-Man was more yellow. But I imagine if the vintage line created figures that look like the Filmation cartoon in the day, that sort of look like this. And I think that's what they're going for. But aside that, we got Skeletor. Yeah, you got a new packaging now, which is cool. I kind of wish these were collector friendly because once you review it, I'm going to tear the bubble and it's kind of ruined for the most part. Aside that, I'm excited to have Skeletor in hand finally. And now here's a quick look at the back of the package. So we just see Skeletor looking through his spyglass bubble on the table in Snake Mountain. This was inspired from an episode of, as seen on TV, The Masks of Power, where there was these two masks. I think one was Deimos and the other one was Tyrella. And once these two people had broke into the city of the Ancients, put these masks on, they manifested, or they turned into them, their spirits, something like that, I believe. But yeah, really cool art for the Filmation collection, just like the Origins always does. And dropping down to the left-hand side with these two images. So what's cool is you get the two masks that you can actually swap the heads out as the Masks of Power in place of the Filmation Skeletor's head. And now here's a quick look at the cross-sell for Series 1 of all 4 figures that's out with the cartoon collection as of now. And here's a quick look with Cartoon Skeletor, the package, and everything you get with him. And before we take a quick look at Skeletor, he does come with his own comic that's different from the cartoon He-Man. So we'll take a quick look at it. I'll flip through the pages. You can pause and try to read it. Just look at the images. It's called Wizard's Visit. Alright, open it up. Check it out. Yeah, it's interesting that he comes with his own unique comic. You can see, so you see those masks in it. It's sort of like, I guess, taking some inspiration off that cartoon episode, but yet mixing its own comic story. There's a Man-at-Arms going on. What else? Skeletor, He-Man fighting. So that sword that He-Man came with, Sword of the Ancients. Masks again. Okay, so taking a closer look at the cartoon Skeletor head sculpt and articulation. Yeah, it looks really cool. Very cartoon-inspired, I'd say. Again, but done in the Origin style. Now, this Skeletor doesn't have... So the mouth is closed, teeth are sculpted closed all the way across. Now, I think the Mattel Creations version, which I didn't get, also comes with a alternative head with an open mouth. Maybe it'll come out with another Skeletor down the road, because I'd like to get that head as well. Yeah, but I love the color on it, the black, dark socketed eyes. And as I said, so it's sculpted, the jaw doesn't move or nothing like that. As far as your head articulation with the hood, you can go left to right, go down about that far and back. Now, the hood is, so it's all flat purple color. It's a solid piece, and it looks like to me that the face, it doesn't recess. It's not a skull, like a skull back in the hood. Almost looks like a skull piece that's plugged and glued into the hood itself, from what I pull back and can see. Aside that, it's a cool design. I think it works well for this cartoon Skeletor, and of course he has that little point in the back. And there's the overall, how the hood looks on the neck from the back as well. So moving down, he has his iconic, crossbones and chest armored. Very simplified, going back to that Filmation cartoon. It's also in a flat, it almost looks like it has a metallic color in it, I want to say, under my light, like sparkly. It seems like with this, and maybe the hood's the same way, but at the same time, it's just a flat color. No other details, but for what it is, it works. You can see the cross straps in front. And there's the back. Now, is to remove it, let's see. So I'm gonna pop the head off. So it's a typical Origins ball peg. It looks like there's a little peg here. I'm gonna snap, flip that over the neck, and then going back to the front, you're gonna pull it down like this, and you can either, it looks like you could slide it maybe right over the legs, or we could just break the waist apart, which we'll get to that. So the waist also is gonna pop right apart. I'm gonna take this belt piece off for a minute, and then pull the armor off. And now here's a quick look with the overall buck design with both pieces of the armor off. Yeah, I took this one off as well. Bring this in for a closer look. So this is kind of that like belt, loin, that guard piece that he wears, right? So it's soft, and you can see, gonna pop the waist, take it off. But for people who aren't familiar, these cartoon or Filmation inspired origin characters now have a whole different sculpt to the body. They're actually taller. You can see all the differences. You have just in the muscle aesthetics. The arms are different. The legs are different sculpt. But yet you can share parts in and out Origins, which I'll show. And I'll also pretty soon I'll bring in the Origins, first release Skeletor, and I'll compare them with the armors off. But for the most part, that's the overall look and design. And here's a closer look at that armor off the body. See how flexible it is, and you know how it snaps together with this little pin piece. And going back to Skeletor with all the armored off, of course I'll leave the head on. We already went over the head articulation. But as far as the main articulation without the armor, and it works the same way with or without the armored, we can spin at the waist. As far as the arms, go up, down, go forward and back, all the way out. Right? Bend up the elbow like this. You can spin it. Can you spin at the elbow? Yeah, a little bit. Spin at the elbow. The other arms are all the same. Now, he comes with two semi-weapon gripping hands, which, let's see. So this can spin as it go in and out. Okay, it goes in and out on hinge joints. And the other hand's all the same. Now, somebody asked me on, I think it was Instagram, about changing out these hands. So I'm going to pull the left side off like this for a second. Now you can see they're typical Origins pegs. So as far as changing out different hands with the Skeletor, the only other hand I can think to use would be an open shield hand, because he does come with the semi-weapon hand, which a lot of Origins don't. And that's, you know, so then you want to find a hand, a semi-weapon gripping hand, so you can hold two different weapons if you wanted to. But he has a very unique color to him from all the Skeletors I have. So the closest Skeletor I found, it matches something close with color with all my Origins, is Dragon Blaster Skeletor. Now, of course, a little while I'll try the Dragon Blaster setup on this Filmation one. I'll try to make a Dragon Blaster Filmation or Cartoon Skeletor. But even then, it is a complete different blue. I even looked at Faker. Doesn't match as well. But anyway, if you wanted to change hands out, you can use Origins like Dragon Blaster, something close to that color, like the open hand, for example, and you can use it on this Filmation Skeletor. Alright, so putting the hand back on for now, we know you can spin at the waist, comes apart at the waist really easy, and you can change out of the waist with other Origins figures. Just has a typical style Origins, yeah, belt and loincloth, but this is just a flat, doesn't have any of those jewels in it. As far as their leg articulation, do a full split with this figure. You can kick forward about that far, can only go back about that far. Bend at the knee, you can spin at the knee. Comes with, yeah, just Skeletor style boots, but they don't have the web feet now. Exactly what you see in a cartoon. Very flat color painted, going back to the armored and the hood. And the boots can spin, and as far as the foot can go up, down, and rock side to side. Okay, so moving on to Cartoon Skeletor's accessories. Of course, he comes with his iconic Filmation-inspired ram staff. Really cool sculpting. You know, whether the staff end as well as the ram itself. You know, basic paint, just real flat purple color, just like his armor. And then this is, it's kind of molded in a white color, but it has like a greenish tint in it. And now here's a look with Skeletor holding that ram staff with both closed hands. And Cartoon Skeletor also comes with this Filmation-inspired power sword, exactly like He-Man's, which is here. But of course, once again, painted in flat color to match his staff and armor. Now here's a quick look with Skeletor holding the ram staff in one hand and the power sword raised in the other. And for his last two accessories, so of course he comes with the masks of Deimos and Tyrella, but they're actually just snap-on pieces that replace the head. So this one here is the Queen, Tyrella, as you can see, and this one is Deimos. Pretty, you know, good sculpting, just molded one color, I guess, to be fair, just like the images as far as the comic or the Filmation cartoon. And now here's a mask of Deimos on Skeletor's body. Of course, just pop the head off and snap this on a ball peg. As far as the articulation with it on, you can, you know, kind of look left to right, go down about that far and back. And then, of course, here's the mask of Tyrell on Skeletor's body. Same thing, articulation, go down and back, spin left to right, move all around. Now, obviously, if you go back to the story, you know, the Deimos mask would be for Skeletor, one of the males, or that male character. This would be for a female character. I'm assuming that this mask is going to be for the new Terra that's going to be coming out soon in this cartoon line. And hopefully they have the same ball pegs as the males. But let's try this on the regular Origins female character, and I'm even going to try Masterverse character as well. So I'm going to bring in Snake Teela. She's an evil character, and seems like whoever puts these masks on are going to be evil. But you can see, yeah, I mean, really small ball peg with the regular female Origins characters. This mask isn't even close to fitting. You just sit it on top, but it does not work for the most part on the female Origins characters. And now I'm going to bring in the Masterverse Teela 2.0, right? So I already took the head off. And same thing with the female mask character, or the male. They're both the same sockets for the ball peg, but this doesn't fit either. It can sit on top, but pushing it down does nothing. That ball peg just kind of bottoms out. It doesn't work either for the Masterverse female characters. Alright, so moving on to some comparisons and mixing and matching of parts. So, of course, here's our new cartoon Skeletor against the Origins first release Skeletor. So you kind of see those two together as far as height and just overall difference. So the first thing I did, just to make it real simple, is basically just switch the two heads over. If you want to have the cartoon style on the Origins Skeletor with that vintage inspired armored, but of course the colors are way off. It could still work though with different purples. And I just drew the Origins Skeletor head on that cartoon body with that armor as well. So before I change everything over to both bodies as far as armor swaps, just wanted to show everybody the difference for those of you who aren't familiar. So of course here's a cartoon Skeletor. You can see the overall buck design body, right, over the first release Origins Skeletor. Of course the belt, loincloth is different. Turn to the side, you can just see the difference in the arms and the muscle aesthetics. Here's a difference in the legs. See that, and then flipping it around, okay, you can also see the difference in everything from the back. Alright, now here's a look with the cartoon Skeletor armored head, sword, and everything on the first release Origins Skeletor body. And take a look at that, looks pretty cool. But the only thing now is this first release Skeletor has an open hand. So we could change this out with the other one, the color is off, but just to show everybody, I'm going to pull this one out. And then here's a cartoon Skeletor hand, and yeah, the color is a little more on the pale side, but it will work. So now, yeah, I put the cartoon ram staff in that hand, but you can see that first release Origins hand is really loose. Might just be my figure. You can reinforce with tape or something. Now, of course, I just put everything from the first release Origins Skeletor as far as armor, head, ram staff, boots on the new cartoon body. And I also put the open hand as well on, which color, it's not too bad in the light. Just it depends. And this hand fits tighter on the cartoon body for some reason. Now switching all the Origins armor and stuff to the original Origins Skeletor body. Also threw that Demos mask head on. Just want to see what that looks like on with the body and the armor. And so there's your overall articulation. Alright, so I'm going to keep the armored off the cartoon Skeletor. Of course, there's a comparison with the Origins Dragon Blaster Skeletor. Now, I'm not going to try boots and the heads on because we already did that with the regular Skeletor. We get the point. But let's see what he looks like with this cartoon-inspired look with that dragon armor on. And now, here's a quick look with that Origins Dragon Blaster Skeletor armor and dragon on the cartoon-inspired Skeletor. It's left his sword in hand he comes with. That looks awesome, and it fits perfect on his figure. So I try to make him to a Battle Armored Skeletor with the Origins Battle Armored Skeletor armor, but the problem with Battle Armored Skeletor is you couldn't remove the arms out of this armored. At least in my Skeletor, I never found a way. So what I just did was put the Filmation head on the body and the lower legs, and that's the best I can convert him. So the arms are off a little bit with the blue, but for some strange reason under the light, yeah, it could still work if you wanted to. You want to change the boots out or put the other head on, you can with these legs. But that's our cartoon-inspired Battle Armored Skeletor. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to try was turning our cartoon Skeletor into a Terra Claws Skeletor. So what I used was a Classics Terra Claws Skeletor Armored. Now these buckles never snap together. You got to mess around with them. But when you can't get them to lock, I mean, it fits perfect. Even the Terra Claws snap on them, great. Now I do have an Origins one, Terra Claw. My Terra Claws Skeletor, I have one in card and one out. Yeah, I'm just bringing one claw on from the Origins. And the Origins has its own design. You can't snap at the waist. The armor is sculpted to the body, so I'm not using that. And there's the Origins Terra Claws claw. Works same thing. Fits perfect. So, but if you had classic parts or claws from the classics or just the claws from the Origins, they work great on this cartoon Skeletor. This is the classic Skeletor this armor and stuff came off of. So here's a comparison once again with our cartoon Skeletor. It's left the armored off with a regular classic Skeletor. I want to see if this classic Skeletor armor will fit on the Filmation Skeletor. And now here's a classic Skeletor armor on our cartoon Skeletor. Works good. Yeah, you can't change this belt guard off because it's all part of their just loincloth. So I just threw his back on, but again, the colors are different, but you can mix it up if you wanted to and put this piece on or take it off, or try some boots from other Origins Skeletor figures that match this armor closer if you wanted to. And now I also tried the classic Skeletor head on our cartoon Skeletor body with his armor on still. And it fits surprisingly well and articulates good too. And while I'm at it, also threw the Origins Cartoon Skeletor armor on the classic's body with the head. The armor does fit good. You have to bring it up over the legs, twist it around, flip it over the neck. Now the head just sits there. You can put a piece of tape, but for the most part, you want to reinforce it. It does sit good and articulates well too once you get it to fit. It doesn't look bad either on his body. And now here's a comparison against our first release, Revelation Skeletor. I have a custom wired cape on him. Once again, up against our cartoon Skeletor. So let's see what parts we can mix and match with these two. Okay, so I moved the Revelation armored over to the cartoon Skeletor, left the head on, his ram staff in hand. I put that cape on. So it does look cool on him. You can articulate the head well. This armor you got to mess around with. I never liked that they split these two pieces of armor. It should have been one piece. This thing always has a gap in it, even on the other Skeletor sometimes. Alright, now here's a look with that cloth wired custom cape on the cartoon Skeletor with his armor and everything back on. Yeah, that works really good and looks cool. You can get these, I got this on eBay, or I think Etsy, people make them too. And now I took that cape off, just left all the armor on, and I want to put that Revelation Skeletor head on this body. Everything's set up, and articulates well. Of course, it looks a little small and the color's different, but if you like that head, work on his body with the armored. And now here's a look with that cartoon Skeletor armored head on that Revelation Skeletor body for people who want to customize parts like that. And once again, of course, we can't take the loin cloth and its protector off. I don't understand why they didn't make Masterverse more modular like the Origins. They could have totally did it with the, especially the waist and arms, and they're not removable for the most part. And now I just threw that cape on with that setup as well. The cape works better on this body because the neck's longer, where the Origins is shorter, and it makes the armor all wacky and stuff. And now setting cartoon Skeletor back up with his armored head on, I wanted to try the Origins Kronos cape as well. So that, taking the head off and putting that on works really good with this figure too. And then lastly, I want to try the Kronos head on this new Skeletor cartoon body with the armor on his cape. Sort of work, it's again a different blue like a lot of the Skeletor tones with all the Origins, but under my light, you could make it work. It's unique. So I also want to set up the Origins Snake Mountain real quick. And of course, we have the cartoon Skeletor up top. Looks really cool. Foot fits in that peg really well. Moving down over here, of course, we have Beastman on a drawbridge. And then off to the right, we have they have He-Man shackled up. They got hold of his power swords. So if you're curious how all those figures fit, at least what I have available on the Origins Snake Mountain, that's what they look like. So moving forward, of course, I want to see how the new Origins cartoon Skeletor fits on the flocked Origins Panther. Take a look at that. Always awesome. And of course, we got to have a quick comparison between our new cartoon-inspired He-Man against our new cartoon-inspired Skeletor. Okay, so overall, I think Skeletor came out really cool, just like He-Man and Beastman. I didn't think I'd be collecting this cartoon line at first, because I'm trying to stick to the main Origins or the vintage-inspired Origins. But once I got them in hand, I really like them. They look very close to the cartoon. Some of the colors are changed up, and they're not going to be perfect. Again, it's what the Origins is trying to do. It's not something like what the classics would do. These masks are pretty cool, too. They gave these both to you for the from that episode. But I'm guessing, yeah, you can put the female one on Skeletor or any of the male figures, but it doesn't fit any other pegs like the Origins Tila or the Masterverse like I showed. So I'm assuming when Tila comes out, as I already mentioned earlier in the video, she's going to have the same ball peg as the males, and that's what this mask will work well on, or any other females that come in the line, hopefully. Aside that, I think they're really cool, and I can't wait to see more. So I appreciate everybody watching, and until next time, take care.